You're being far too nice to Neera Tanden here. You're being much nicer to Neera Tanden than what she deserves at this moment. And if we don't actually implement a sense of shame against these shameless mercenaries, they're never going to behave appropriately when the moment requires them to, at the very least, get out of the way. That, of course, you'll never hear from Fox News is what Ratcliffe was demanding when he went to that meeting. This was the CIA's attempt to be like, please stop helping Iran. Please, we are begging. Please help us. Pressure Iran and open the Strait of Hormuz, please. They're like, we'll make sure the Ukrainians are no longer allowed to strike deep into Russian territory. We'll do anything. I'll suck your dick, dude. Please. What are you talking about? We won? Look at what Trump... No. Oh my God. Oh my God. He posted the Bush mission not accomplished, mission accomplished 2026. Oh my God. Oh my God. The irony. Oh, it's so awesome. Yep. I guess he did it.
About the issues that people actually care about in Michigan. You don't want to.
How long until the CNN panel devolves into why is Abdul al-Sayed on Jesse Waters instead of condemning Hasan Piker? Why is he going on Jesse Waters' show and attacking the Republicans instead of attacking Hasan Piker?
Talk about gas prices. You don't want to talk about groceries. You don't want to talk about healthcare. You don't want to talk about this stupid trade war that's about to destroy Michigan's economy.
We spent the whole interview talking about that stuff.
That's destroying. That is destroying our own military. You don't seem to want to talk about any of those things. You want to bring up all this culture war that, you know, I'm not here to fight a culture war.
We talked about the war. We talked about gas prices and the Green New Deal, okay? If you want to do an interview,
I them up every time.
You can do the interview. I'm getting at whether you think men should play in women's sports.
As the next U.S. Senator in Michigan,
it's a big issue.
I'm interested in getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, and passing Medicare for all.
You're filibustering,
most people don't care about.
So on the one hand, I mean, this was sort of like the greatest hits of what you would expect to hear on Fox. However, and actually, and it might work for the people for whom those are issues that they're sensitive about. However, I do think that it kind of, El-Sayed's point is that it sort of obscures the other issues that are at the top of the list for actual voters in this race.
No, but I think it shows strength and courage to go do it. Like when I first started doing television, the place that had me on most was Fox in the Morning. It is not easy to be a liberal in that mix, and just going in there, standing on your own 2 feet, holding your own, is good. It's strong, and I think that what they were trying to accomplish on his campaign is to come out of that with clips of him being asked a question that is not about one of the priorities of Michigan, and him going back and saying, but you haven't asked me about what Michigan voters care about. I think that he got exactly what he wanted out of that interview, even though I think Fox got what they wanted. They wanted to throw all the culture war stuff at him and have him deflect from it and not answer it so they can play it a million times. But he's also going to play it a million times on his social media. And I think social media in his campaign is proving to be really potent.
Yeah, it's right. And when we think about the clips, right, it can go both ways. It was a long interview. We watched it, so you at home don't have to. Because in large part, it was a bit of a waste, right? It was a man, Jesse Waters, in makeup on TV talking about transgender athletes and billionaires' rights when people at home in states like Arizona, where I'm from, another swing state, right? Half of people that were on Snap fell off.
Don't worry, you are somehow the focus. Dog, are you fucking... No, this is not the same panel, is it? There is no shot, dude. No.
Off in the last year because of Trump's big, beautiful bill. Like, they are worried about actually making rent this month. They are in crisis. They're worried about putting food on the table. And I think what El-Sayed did really well was go in there and say, that's what I want to talk about. That's what Democrats want to talk about, whether they're far left, centrist, right? He came in and said, this is what our agenda is. It is about making your life better, while the Fox Newses of the world are litigating cases and issues that don't really matter.
One of the interesting things, again, this is actually characteristic of how El-Sayed is being handled by the right. They have a lot of issues with his policies, his economic policies, but they keep attacking him on culture war issues. Here's Tim Scott just tonight talking about El-Sayed.
These radicals don't just want new policies. They want to change the very DNA of what it means to be an American. They're coming after our culture, Sean, and that is what makes them dangerous. Their policies are radical, their cultural shift. It is dangerous for Americans, and we must stand in the gap and make sure they never see the floor of the Senate. This is the most important midterm election in our lifetime. It is no longer Democrats versus Republicans. It's communists and socialists against what makes America great, our Judeo-Christian values and a free market system.
Would they be better off just simply attacking him, if you're going to attack him, on the policies, on the economic incompatibility of what he's putting on the table?
No, because only CNN does that. Only CNN panelists who happen to be lifetime big pharma lobbyists usually will go up on television and explain to people how better things are not possible. Republicans know better. They know that they have to lie. They know that they are losing the conversation anytime they sit there and say, oh yeah, you don't deserve healthcare. They know that that's a losing conversation, so they try to stay away from it. That's why they hit the culture war shit.
With what people in Michigan want, rather than saying, oh, he's going to change our culture. What does that even mean?
Well, 2 points. That network has more independent viewers than you think, and those clips are going to circulate on social media. And it was quite clarifying, I think, to a lot of people, that he could not give simple answers to questions about the culture war. He conflated circumcision with sex changes for children. So now it's good to know that he's on the 20% of an 80-20 issue nationally. But if you want to talk economics, fine, let's talk economics, which that network has talked about extensively as well. His biggest economic goal is Medicare for all, also known as single-payer health care, also known as nationalizing health care. He doesn't want to talk about Al-Sayed, about how that would require taxing the middle class. That seems to defeat the whole championing of the working class mantra, don't you think? He doesn't talk about how that would kick off many millions of Americans off their private.
Yeah, it would be terrible if Americans got free health care, man. It'd be so bad. Thank you. Think about the real Americans, you know? Big pharma executives, healthcare profiteers. What about their bottom line? What about the only minority that matters? POC. No, I'm not talking about people of color. I'm talking about the only minority that matters. People of capital. What about them? Neoliberals are on be like, for far too long, my friends, we have cast aside the dreams of the true people of capital so that we could defend the interests of the American working class. We say no more. ANCAP Zoran.
Or employer-sponsored health care, and the majority of Americans, polling says, like their health care. So why doesn't he want to address that?
He wasn't asked about it.
But he is regularly.
Well, no, he was asked. He was asked about health care, but he wasn't asked about those I think those are actually important, detailed questions about how this would work. He wasn't asked about that.
And Trump is, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I just wanted to be very clear that these are issues that also impact the folks watching Fox, right? Whether we're red or we're blue, people at home are struggling.
And they like their health care.
Insured.
But they like their health care.
If they haven't got kicked off of Medicaid because of
So you want to kick them off even though they like it?
No, I don't want the people.
This is where you see the neoliberal handshake between corporate wing of the Democratic Party and Republicans. This is the exact same argument that they landed, liberals did, against Bernard Sanders when he was unveiling Medicare for all. This is what I mean when I say it's uniparty on certain issues. There's a bipartisan consensus on certain issues that a lot of people refuse to reckon with. This is what our side opposes. This is what we constantly complain about, right? This is what we're talking about. This is uniparty. As it pertains to healthcare profiteering, there is consensus politics in Washington, D.C.
I don't want the poor people that got kicked off.
How are you going to pay for Medicare for all? How are you going to pay for it?
I'm going to let you get that out. Now, let me finish. Now, what I don't want is the poorest of Americans to get kicked off of Medicaid, which is what happened to pay for these tax cuts that were part of the big beautiful.
Okay, that's also
is the argument not just people like their doctor, people don't like their insurance? Yes, that is the argument. That is literally the correct argument. And yet, because many of these panelists are not as tapped in to being pro Medicare for all, I suspect, because I don't even know if Deja, who I appeared alongside at the Young College Democrats of America thing, I don't even know if she was running for Medicare for all. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, she might have been, and she might now be pro Medicare for all, but like there are a lot of Democratic Party pundits who just sincerely don't want Medicare for all and therefore don't know the talking points against it.
This number, work requirements for Medicaid?
This is crazy because you're talking about work requirements for Medicaid. But in fact, when we are talking about these administrative barriers, these are my neighbors that I'm going home and talking to, and they're missing paperwork by one day and they're falling off their care. They're going.
Also, the blonde lady is arguing against Medicare for all, but every other panelist, if you noticed, are arguing for preserving the pre-existing healthcare system. No, just argue for Medicare for all. Just argue for it. You don't have to turn around and be like, well, the Republicans are cutting the subsidies or whatever, you know? Just say it's better.
Going in and sitting in DES offices, Department of Economic Security offices, with packed waiting rooms where staff has been slashed and they are forced to miss work.
And the answer to that is a huge new bureaucracy where they will do it to every...
See? Opening up a line of attack for no reason. Oh, you just brought up government inefficiency. And now you're telling me you want more government inefficiency?
Everybody?
The person in America who has taxed the middle class the most is Donald Trump. If you are at the 60th percentile of income or below, any tax cut you might have gotten from the big, beautiful bill has been chewed up by tariffs. Tariffs have, if you're 50% or below, you're now paying more in the tax impact of tariffs than you would have before.
And at the
same time, he's been raking in cash hand over fist and calling affordability a con job or a Democratic hoax at the same time. And we just found out in June that he had 1,051.
Dude, I can tell he's a conservative, like instantly.
Stock trades in 1 month. There's only 21 trading days in that month.
In Michigan, the Democratic
even before he said anything, I was like, he's conservative.
Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed is putting some distance between himself and Twitch streamer Hasan Piker, the left-wing influencer he has appeared with several times on the campaign trail. Now,
I did address the visa pause, yes.
Piker recently made some remarks suggesting American Jews supporting Israel would make anti-Semitism worse. El-Sayed's opponent, Mike Rogers, condemned the comments and called Piker El-Sayed's running mate. Now, El-Sayed released a statement saying in part, quote, "Nobody speaks for this campaign. It's me and my campaign spokespeople." And while politicians and pundits try to make this race about a Twitch streamer, we're going to be talking about gas, groceries, good schools, and healthcare. The group chat is back. Before we begin, let me just play for you what Hasan Piker actually said on his Twitch stream last week so you can understand why this is kicking up a fresh furor. Here we go.
If Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews.
All right, so talk about...
That's insane that is the clip that they play, where they don't mention that Jews are not monolithic. Like CBS did a better job than CNN did. How is that possible? CNN doing a worse job than ZBS. ZBS at least showed that I was talking about how Jews are not monolithic. There are varying degrees of sympathies with the state of Israel. And Jewish institutions and organizations that make it seem as though they are singularly invested in Israel are also creating anti-Semitism.
The backlash to him and the role of these outside voices in campaigns. Because I think ever since the Joe Rogan backing of Trump, all I've heard is, we need a Rogan for the left, from the left. And now they get something like it, and it's not working out so great.
Well, when you think about a surrogate, which is a voice that you're using from the outside to promote your campaign, you typically want it to be somebody who shares your values. And so I think the challenge here with Piker, and while I say he's trying to distance himself, is because he's clearly saying we don't have shared values. This is not the person that should be the surrogate for me. I also want to note that when it comes to...
Yeah, also, Abdul El-Sayed is not a fucking socialist. He's not DSA. He's not a socialist. We have our disagreements on plenty of issues. These people are so strange where they think that two people can align on, key aspects of their agenda and unite under a shared interest in making America better for everyone. without agreeing on everything. It's very strange. I guess like in the past, that's how it was, right? In the past, that's just how it used to work. You tap into surrogates, and oftentimes those surrogates are like already Hollywood. They're famous people anyway, so they have like a lot of corporate pressure that they have to abide by. So they're not going to say anything too unhinged that are going to put you in harm's way or whatever. Obviously, this only matters for the Democrats because Republicans can have literal neo-Nazis as surrogates and no one gives a shit. But the idea that like you have to agree with every single thing that a surrogate of yours has said is so ridiculous.
Twitch, the way that you engage an audience, the way that you're successful is by being intense, is by playing into the reward system of your audience in real time.
And no, I'm not being intense in an effort to drum up controversy and drive clicks. You guys are just oblivious to how angry normal people are. This is the problem. Of course, if you are, I don't know, a senior reporter for Axios, and you're like a lifelong journalist, and you've risen through the ranks, and now you make like $100,000, $200,000 a year. You have a decent apartment that you were able to find. Your life is somewhat more comfortable. Okay, then yeah, you're not going to be as angry. But regular people are fucking mad. I'm not being like a shock jock necessarily or saying something to invoke a reaction. I'm just angry. I'm genuinely passionate about these things. And so are the people that are tuning in. So are regular people. Like, for example, when we talk about Israel, the average person's perspective on Israel is far closer to mine, if not damn near identical in most instances, or perhaps even more radical than mine in certain instances. That's what the average person is thinking when they think about Israel. People in the media obviously live in a bubble, so they don't encounter real people who feel this. So they think, wow, these guys are so mad. Why are they so mad? I don't know. 23,000 children were slaughtered with our weapons, with our tax dollars. Perhaps that makes people a little pissed off. You think it's normal to react like a fucking sociopath to this shit, to this carnage? You're the weirdo. You're out of touch, not us.
Because you're speaking for a really long time, and they are responding over time.
And the way that the platform works, so you can obviously pay to subscribe to somebody's channel, you can reward someone in real time for what they're saying, almost like giving kudos, is it's going to reward you to double down on the things you say, or it's going to incentivize you to double down on the things you say that your audience in real time says they like.
They're going to come to your defense, your stand.
Yes, that's why Twitch streamers tend to be, I don't want to say polarizing, but they tend to be very intense and compassionate about what they're saying and their views.
This is the most cynical interpretation of what I do, man. From a bunch of fucking boomers, too. They have no idea. It's such a cynical way to approach this, man. It's such a cynical way to interpret what I am doing. Oh, it's just for clicks. It's just for money. If that was, first of all, if I was constantly audience captured or constantly fighting back or constantly leaning into what my audience wants, I wouldn't be fighting with them all the goddamn time, okay?
Trying to
You don't want to say polarizing?
Well, not every Twitch streamer is that.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm sorry. I think
random.
this frame is incredibly charitable.
Do it.
At the front end there, the show was suggesting that Piker's comments were essentially just that anti-Semitism is rising
clear,
because
we
Jews
played
are
the
Zionistic.
comments so that you can characterize it yourself,
okay,
Jesse.
so
I did not.
By the way, that was my comment. Why are you so mad? And they didn't even characterize it as such. They actually showed it in the worst framing possible. And yet you're still mad because you still understand that was the fucking main point.
So here's what the comment.
Just to be clear,
you did characterize
I said,
it at the front end, obviously.
Here's the clip. So now you have it in your hand.
No, but before that,
comment.
you said that it was about pro-Israel sentiment within the Jewish community is making anti-Semitism rise.
It doesn't say.
The Manhattan Institute is so funny because, like, Chris Rufo obviously got paid a lot of money for years and years to like drum up culture war issues. And on the Republican side, that means you have to be a heinous monster, right? You have to be racist. You have to be misogynistic. But of course, his biggest donors are also pro-Israel. So he can't touch anti-Semitism as a driving force, even though under normal circumstances, why is that the one Why is that the one form of DEI that you're on board with? Perhaps it's because the Manhattan Institute has major donors that do care about anti-Semitism, and more importantly than anti-Semitism is perhaps the most important element here is not anti-Semitism at all, but Israel. So it was really funny. I know people who have, who know Christopher Rufo very well. They know Chris Rufo wasn't exactly a fan of Israel for the longest time, but he's a mercenary.
Yeah, Jesse, if you're going to come on the show, I need you to listen. I really need you to listen and respond to the things I say. Because we spend a lot of time writing this stuff. And I didn't use any of the words you just said. And I want to be very clear. Michigan Democratic...
Why are you backing away? Why are you backing away? You should just say, yeah, I did say it. I said what I said because it's true. God forbid you on accident interpreted what I had to say charitably on CNN. Oh my God, I can't believe this is what this panel has fucking devolved to. Chuck Rocha, do something. Chuck, you know me, Chuck. Do something.
Senate candidate obviously distance between himself and Hasan Piker.
Okay, so the distance he put between himself and
Piker
Hasan
recently made remarks suggesting American Jews supporting Israel will make anti-Semitism worse.
That's what
and
I
then
said.
we played the clip.
Okay.
By the way, that wasn't a charitable interpretation. That was just what I said. Also, if you can have this dildo on, you can have me on CNN. What the fuck value does a Manhattan Institute stooge give to fucking CNN with his commentary when all he's doing is sitting there and fucking shitting on the anchor? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Do not put words in my mouth.
I
will tell you right now. It's something I spend a lot of time trying to be careful.
Wait, CNN anchor upset about words being put in their mouth. Very interesting. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, you don't like when people put words in your mouth? Well, welcome to the show, okay? Please stop doing it to me. Please, I'm begging you, okay? I hate it too. I hate it as well. Here's the greatest thing that we could do. Dialogue. A normal one-on-one conversation. Put me on a panel. I'll do it.
For the audience. So if you want to tell me what you hear
I
and
don't
what
want to
Piker
watch the rest
said.
of this. I can't.
Democrats are beginning to distance themselves from Hasan Piker.
What channel is the National Desk? What the hell is this? Oh, the program runs on all Sinclair stations? Oh, great.
The controversial Twitch streamer's latest comments about Jewish Americans. That includes Michigan Senate candidate
Oh, great. Every local news station. Oh, awesome.
Abdul El-Sayed, who appeared with Piker multiple times on the campaign trail. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us. And what a difference a week, 2 weeks makes, Jeff. El-Sayed is just one of the candidates trying to create that separation. Lawmakers across the country also taking action. Tell us how.
So from New York and New Jersey to Michigan and Nevada, Democratic lawmakers across the entire nation are sounding the alarm on Piker's rhetoric.
Is it weird seeing your name all across national TV? No, it's not. At this point, I'm used to it. I expect it. I don't know what else to say about it.
Surrounding Jewish Americans, most referencing a recent clip where Piker suggested to his Twitch viewers that support of Israel will make anti-Semitism worse and invite violence.
If Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews.
That comment from Piker now sparking widespread backlash, including from Jeremy Moss, a Jewish Michigan state senator running for Congress, who Piker displayed a photo of while expressing those thoughts. Moss writing, quote, "I will not be lectured by a California podcaster about what Oakland County, Michigan's Jewish community, should and shouldn't believe." Thoughts echoed by fellow Michigan Democrats and lawmakers nationwide.
Come on. There's got to be, there has to be HasanAbi heads in Oakland County, Jewish HasanAbi heads in Oakland County. Rise up. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Saying you displayed a photo of his nasty work, I know, they're boomers. They don't understand how Twitch streaming works, so they have no idea. I was like reacting to different things at different times. There's probably 2 or 3. No, there's definitely some. I mean, there's one that, there was that one lady from Oakland County. There was that one lady from Oakland County who was like, oh, I'm going to vote for Abdul, but I think like the Hasan Piker thing is like a bridge too far for me. And there was a chatter in here who is literally like the nephew of that woman. This is a big community. There are a lot of Jews in this community, a lot of anti-Zionist Jews in this community. So sound off. Non-Jewish Oakland County resident, but know a ton in our local DSA and Jews for Abdul. That's what I'm saying. Sound off on this shit. That's the other thing. Like, I was talking to some friends of mine in media, and it's like, we need to have a better established line of defense against these kinds of smears, because I'm not alone on this, right? Like Mark Ruffalo, Miss Rachel, there are so many, and constantly get hit with this critique. We should have a better established media communication strategy when stuff like this happens, where like anti-Zionist Jews will come out and just be like, this is ridiculous. Here's why, like press releases similar to that. It should not be left up to like Hannah Einbinder to come out on her own to defend Mark Ruffalo. We should have like a united front. You know what I mean? This is the default stance of the pro-genocide mainstream media: bully and lie until the opposition gives up. I know. I kind of don't like that we just kind of, let it wash over us. Got to be astroturf for stuff like that? No, that's not true. That's not true. I think you need to partner with Jewish anti-Zionist orgs is the only way. What do you mean? I do all the time. In many of these campaigns as well. Are you asking to create a token Jewish community you can call on? Wow, what a charitable interpretation of what I just said. I said that there are already pre-existing anti-Zionist Jewish organizations, and they should be piping up about things like this, especially at a time when anti-Zionist Jews are directly erased from the conversation, which is ironically the point that I was trying to make. That's the problem. Any Jewish person who is critical of Israel is immediately erased. Immediately. It is as though they do not exist. There are some, like Ben Shapiro, who actively tell people that they are not real Jews if they are against Israel. So that's number one, which is disgusting. It's anti-Semitism. But then, even when someone says they are a liberal Zionist like Brad Lander, their electoral victory over the likes of Dan Goldman is considered an anti-Semitic act in one of the most Jewish districts in the country, where Jewish people are voting for a self-identifying liberal Zionist Jewish congressional representative. And only because his position is the correct one and the majority position on Israel, which is that Israel is an occupation, Israel has done a genocide, Israel is an apartheid state, and that must be abolished. Only then is it considered, only then are people calling into question Brad Lander's Judaism, his Jewish background. It's disgusting. And also, the reason why that chatter pointed this out is because he's going to clip me and then post it. He's going to clip me and say, Hasan Piker wants his own token Jews to defend him. That's going to be the uncharitable interpretation. And then they're going to run that. They're going to run that over and over again, right? And then people will say, oh my God, why aren't you careful with your words? Well, I am careful with my words, right? I'm very careful. I didn't say anything that was even remotely controversial, but it doesn't matter what I say. So yeah, and then there will be another round of condemn HasanAbi cycle because of the disingenuous framing, right? And then we'll say, here, where is the context? What's going on here? Philip DeFranco gives a clinic in combating out-of-context exclusive about Hasan.
Himself from Hasan Piker, right? Who, in addition to being one of Fox News' favorite boogeymen, has also been in the center of a lot of debates regarding the Democratic Party. With El-Sayed specifically, you saw him distancing himself after Piker said that American Jewish support for Israel could lead someone to take action against Jews in the U.S. Right? And for a little context there, Piker was talking about Michigan State Senator Jeremy Moss refusing to back El-Sayed, and he was actually expressing concern about rising anti-Semitism. Right? In the full clip, he was emphasizing the danger of tying all American Jewish people to Israel right now.
Boom. I'm sure they'll get mad at him for that. That's the thing. Like, people openly show their disdain for taking these disingenuous out of context clips and putting them in the proper context. Like, people get mad. People go, oh, you're defending this person. You're defending this vicious anti-Semite. It's like, no, they're defending the fucking truth. What do you mean? Oh, I'm sorry that some people are not going along with your ridiculous smear campaign. It shouldn't be left up to Philip DeFranco to demonstrate higher journalistic integrity than every single mainstream news outlet, by the way. I like Philip DeFranco, but it is crazy that the entire process has been flipped on its head. When you have independent outlets like Philly D, or even myself, that actually cover greater attention to detail than the mainstream outlets that have entire newsrooms, a legion of producers that simply focus on irrelevant, nonsensical bullshit. I talked about this when Dave Weigel reported on it as well, where it was like when Abdul goes on Hasan's stream, He talks for 2 hours uninterrupted about policy. When he goes on CNN, he's hit with soundbite after soundbite after soundbite of clippable moments like, do you condemn Hasan? Do you do this? Do you do that? In the past, the expectation was that if your media diet featured non-professional news outlets, independent media, then you were probably being led astray, right? We don't have the same ethics, the same code of conduct when we're when we're covering the news, right? It's not the same as like a serious news department with a legal team and all this stuff. It turns out we're in opposite world now. Now, this isn't to say all independent news outlets do this. Obviously, that's not the case. Trust me, I know. But perhaps there's a reason why so many people are pouring into independent news outlets and going to places like Zateo, places like Dropsite News, places like this community, and even Philip DeFranco. That is because, I'm sorry to say this, as someone who is a dedicated news watcher, an article pervert of the highest order, mainstream media has dropped the ball in spectacular display, in spectacular fashion, straight up. And you might say Philip DeFranco is a perpetual fence sitter or whatever, but even then, he has a higher degree of respect for the truth than mainstream outlets do.
Slotkin, no one should casually be suggesting that anyone, Jews or otherwise, are to blame for being targeted. And Congresswoman Haley Stevens, this radio man should stop sowing division and hate in Michigan.
God, I love her. I still love her. She's still growing on me, honestly. This radio man.
And let our election occur without his continued commentary and involvement.
There is zero place for this kind of hatred from somebody like Hasan Piker. He's pathetic and he should be put outside and not welcome into any kind of tent.
Aside from backlash, the comment also creating some distance. Democratic Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed, who appeared with Piker multiple times on the campaign trail, now appearing to separate from the Twitch streamer, writing, quote, "I want to be crystal clear. Nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokespeople." A statement Rabbi Asher Lopatin, who serves the Detroit area, believes doesn't go far enough.
He needs a strong statement of rejection.
Really? Random rabbi, you say? Hold on. Let me take a look. I mean, this is an unbiased random rabbi, right? Surely he's not linked directly to a Republican-backed operation called Democrats for Mike Rogers or anything, right? Like, there's no way. Wait a minute. What? Oh my God. It turns out he's not a random guy at all. It turns out he's a part of the Republican-backed initiative called Democrats for Mike Rogers. What? This is the same thing that like Jubilee does from time to time. The same thing that they do all the time where they'll be like, here's a concerned mother that we talked to. And then you scratch the surface and you investigate for like 3 seconds. You Google their name and it's like, Moms for Liberty founder arrested for child pornography. That's not just a random concerned mother, man. That's a political operative that was arrested for CSAM. The fuck do you mean? This is not a local woman, and this person is not just a random local rabbi. He is a Republican operative.
And distancing, and also, it needs an apology.
By the way, the Moms for Liberty CSAM story is so commonplace that if you literally looked up like Moms for Liberty, sex scandal, you would probably, let's see, Moms for Liberty sex scandal. Moms for Liberty co-founder faces calls for resignation. Fraudulent MAGA operation Moms for Liberty collapsing in Florida and the nation. Florida school board recommends ouster of Moms for Liberty. Wait, that was a real example? Yes! Sexual assault and rape at her apartment in Sarasota, Florida in October 2023. I remember when the trans bathroom story happened in Northern Virginia and they talked to a concerned parent and it was the head of the GOP in the county where the story happened. Yeah, it's always concerned parent who happens to be a paid Republican political operative. What the fuck?
The fact that he was so close to him, even if he now distances himself from him, he needs to apologize and say, I don't hang out with those kind of people.
Now, Lopatin pointing to Michigan Democratic Congresswoman Hillary Scholten, who not only condemned Piker.
This is such a nasty little Republican psyop. You got a Congresswoman, Hillary Scholten, who is embroiled in her own scandal revolving around sexual intercourse with a prominent Michigan Republican. Okay. coming out and behaving like a Republican operative under the banner of a Democrat in the state, sitting side by side with the likes of Jamie Raskin and shit, constantly throwing Molotov cocktail after Molotov cocktail at the Abdul al-Sayed candidacy. You got local rabbi who's, again, another Republican operative. You got another state Democrat who has been a Republican Trump voter since 2020 due to COVID vaccines and has left the Democratic Party, even though she still carries the banner of a Democratic politician in the state, who has left the Democratic Party over LGBTQ, left the Democratic Party over COVID vaccinations, all this shit, right? And these guys are sincerely running around being like, as Democrats, we find Abdul to be unconscionable. And there isn't enough pushback against this stuff. The Democratic Party, broadly, instead of looking at these snakes and saying, none of you are real Democrats, they're running around saying, I'm not a real Democrat. I'm not invested in fucking defeating Donald Trump. It blows my mind. These guys are doing a Republican operation to destroy the Senate majority, and establishment Democrats are leaning into this shit. We have to get the word out, man. We have to show people the truth. It blows my goddamn mind. I promise you, if Midas Touch liberals found out about what's going on here, instead of just at most seeing my name be mentioned all over media and going, who cares? If they actually understood the sophisticated operation at play here, using the Democratic brand to attack the Democratic Senate candidate from Michigan to destroy the Democratic Party's chances of winning the Senate majority, I think most liberals would lose their fucking minds. They would be unbelievably pissed off.
Comment on social media, but said if El-Sayed reached out to her, which he hasn't, she would have some questions.
As I made pretty clear, a lot of it has to do with past associations with Hasan Piker.
The Democratic candidates and insiders need to show concern for Abdul el-Sayed's positions.
Now, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also speaking out, writing that the claims are dangerous and anti-Semitic. Meanwhile, Piker is defending his remarks, posting that falsely tying Israel to Jewish people is increasing anti-Semitism, adding here, quote, "This isn't a call for violence." Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
Speaking of Canada.
By the way, be on the lookout for another poll that comes out where Abdul has like +7 on Mike Rogers. And then there will be another barrage of anti-Hasan attacks. They'll say Abdul el-Sayed is hugging and kissing Hasan secretly behind closed doors, and that he needs to immediately drop out of the race and allow Mike Rogers to win. The more he performs, the more pro-Israel Democrats are going to lose their fucking minds every goddamn day for the next 68 days until November.
Abdul el-Sayed, he's distancing himself from Hasan Piker. Piker was singing a song mocking slain conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. Is there a place for this faction in the Democratic Party? Is the tent big enough?
I think that there is a place for it, and I think that this type of conversation is very, very healthy. Now, I disagree with Hasan Piker.
Wait, Jared Polis challenged me to a debate? What the hell?
Well, I have no idea. Obviously, he has his listeners. I mean, I'd, be happy to debate him or take him on just as I would any host. I disagree with him on many things. I think everybody really, runs their own campaigns. And fundamentally, you have to show how you're going to help improve the lives of people in your state, in the country, reduce the cost of healthcare, improve the economy. And,
Get in here, Jared. Yeah, I would do it. I would debate Jared Polis 100%. I don't know what we would debate on, but I mean, there's plenty of issues where I disagree with him.
On a lot of things, and I would tell him that, and he would be okay with that. But I still think it's important to have these ideological battles and see who comes out on top. I mean, even in Wisconsin, people were saying that the DSA candidate, the Democratic Socialist candidate, was going to sweep, and it ended up being a nail-biter where the more establishment candidate ended up winning. So there's a healthy conversation happening, and of course, I disagree with some of Piker's more out there views, but to say that we should cut off his followers and his fans from being able to participate in the party, I think would be short-sighted right now.
There is a coordinated smear campaign against the leftist streamer Hasan Piker.
Strange that it seems Nira agrees that Israel's actions make the world unsafe for Jews. I know. I know. I mean, she is such a cynical mercenary, dude. Here at Netanyahu, hopefully will lose his job here, attacks Haley from Michigan for stating the obvious fact that Netanyahu is making Jews in America and the world less safe. You know what I say to that?
What gives?
Wow, it turns out all of these guys that have been complaining about what I said were actually praising Haley Stevens for saying the same thing last month. Oh my God. Perhaps this story has nothing to do with my commentary around anti-Semitism increasing due to Israel's actions and everything to do with the fact that I am against Israel's genocide. I am against America's undying loyalty to the state of Israel that has allowed Israel to behave in the belligerent manner and the violent ways that it has destabilized the entire region. Haley Stevens, on the other hand, is an uncompromising and loyal stooge for Israel. And that is the reason why when she says stuff like that, it's not a big deal. When I say stuff like that, all of a sudden, I'm Mr. Jew hater. Arno Rosenfeld, the one thing Hasan Piker could say to begin healing ties with the U.S. Jews. Yeah, I know. It's not. I know what his argument is. I saw it already. It's on the front page. Arno says, on the one hand, you keep saying liberal Zionists are fascist, they're liberal Nazis, because Zionism is fascism. But on the other hand, you say you're not as hostile to the likes of Brad Lander, who considers himself a liberal Zionist. My argument on this is very clear. I have repeatedly explained it over and over again. I'm an American. I live in the United States of America. I have to deal with who I disagree with vehemently, whose ideas that I believe demonstrate varying degrees of white supremacy, for example, as long as they are not a hurdle towards an overarching goal of ending the occupation, ending the genocide, ending the apartheid, then they're fine. Yes, we will have disagreements on this issue. We will have disagreements on how people present themselves, on the setbacks. But ultimately, I have to be pragmatic. I am not going to spend time behaving in an antagonistic manner towards those who are far closer to my opinion when the overwhelming majority of people in positions of power are unbelievably hostile to the idea of even declaring Israel to be an apartheid state. It's just true. These people are hostile to the truth. Okay? So that's it. Some recognition for Piker that many American Jews are grappling with their relationship to Israel as a minority group in a historically hostile diaspora would go a long way towards reassuring them he views them as more than would-be Nazis or terrorists. Of course I view that. Of course I view them as that. How do you think I have converted so many young American Jews to anti-Zionism? I didn't do that by being like, you're all fucking little Nazis. It's twofold, okay? It's a two-parter. On the one hand, shame is obviously important, especially when the crimes are so severe. But also on the other hand, I'm understanding of people's social conditioning, right? I'm understanding of people's social conditioning. I understand it. That's why I love Simone Zimmerman. We've talked some of my favorite guests, some of my closest friends did not start off as anti-Zionist Jews, but were initially liberal Zionists themselves. They worked in J Street. Noah Cohen is a great example of this, right? But having said all of that, of course, Zionism is a racist ideology. The sad reality is that there are plenty of people, not just with Zionism, but with numerous, with varying degrees of racist ideology that they have been socially conditioned into believing. That doesn't mean that they're irredeemable. That's my opinion. That's always been my opinion. That's why there are some who fucking yell at me all the time and say I'm far too forgiving. I'm far too aggressive. Meanwhile, most people say I'm too aggressive with my commentary on Zionism and my hostility towards Zionism. Hasan, don't you dare fucking back down from this bullshit. Wait, what? What are you talking about? Are you fantasizing about me potentially backing down from a position? I'm not even saying like, oh, let's begin the healing ties with U.S. Jews. I have already clarified this position that this person is demanding of me. Okay? Most of this conversation inevitably devolves into, and I had this conversation with Peter Beinart, it devolves into, well, don't you feel like Nazi carries a lot of power, especially when you're talking about Jewish people? And I say, I understand that, but I'm not precious about deploying the terminology because I do think that if you have sympathies for a country from its formation that has conducted ethnic cleansing, then yeah, of course, That's just the truth. That doesn't mean that people who have sympathies are irredeemable across the board. It's accurate, though. It's accurate. Anyway, but so much of this is just crosstalk where people have decided what their perspective is about my commentary because they've seen clips. I push back against those who say I care too much about anti-Semitism, that I'm a philo-Semite, I'm a Jewish supremacist, a liberal Zionist, and I push back against people who will then turn around and tell me that I don't care about Jewish people's feelings at all on this issue. It's not true. I think I'm a fairly pragmatic and very balanced person on this issue, and I approach it with the nuance that it deserves. I think a lot of people don't understand that what I'm trying to say here is perhaps a little bit more insane, which is that there are varying degrees of supremacist ideology that people buy into. And as an American, I have to deal with people and their social conditioning on those supremacist values. So it's not just Jewish supremacy. There's white supremacy as well. There's nationalisms of different sorts that I have to deal with. And in order to organize a broad movement, I have to work with people that have values like that and try to convert them away.
By the Democratic Party establishment over Israel's US armed and facilitated genocide against the Palestinian people. The bottom line about what's happening here, because the American people have turned against Israel in revulsion at the genocide and want to stop facilitating its crimes facilitated by them, their country, their government, their state, and that opposition is overwhelmingly amongst the Democratic rank and file. But the Democratic Party establishment remains invested in the alliance with Israel, and they fear being swept aside by pro-Palestinian left-wing candidates in upcoming primaries, because that is already their response is to smear pro-Palestinian figures, in this case, to specifically try and toxify Hasan Piker, to try and nullify his ability to mobilize grassroots supporters to get progressive candidates to win Democratic primaries. That's because he has been successful in helping progressive candidates get selected to win these primaries. And so they want to deter progressive candidates from getting his help on the basis that they will then pay a price if they do. Therefore, he won't be able to mobilize support of those candidates. They also, the Democratic establishment, want to destroy the chances of progressive candidates like Abdul al-Sayed, who was successful in becoming...
I'm going to skip this.
They got hit with the tornado.
You are getting susceptible to bandwagon fallacy where people start thinking if this many people think you've done something wrong, then they must be correct. I mean, I don't care, dude. I have said this a million times over, man. Listen. I am a socialist, anti-imperialist in the United States of America. You think it's my first foray into being misunderstood or hated for a position that many will inevitably arrive at? No, that's just what it is, baby. Being a socialist, being a leftist, especially in America, is simply being right, but too early, and having everybody yell at you even after they arrive at your positions that you were, championing for decades. That's it. So you have to take the victories in grace, and you have to identify that you were not ever supposed to be in this position of victory to begin with. Don't ever take it for granted. My perspective on so many things have not changed at all in the last decade. That's why you can go back to 2016, 2017, 2014, whether when I was writing at the Huffington Post or whether I was making Young Turks videos, and you will hear me say the exact same things from back then. What is this? It's genuinely funny looking back at the mass psychosis present when the Iran war started. A WhatsApp from a U.S. Navy SEAL says, Hillel Fold. We're a little ahead of schedule. Today, we completely wiped out their Navy. They have 0 ships now. We have full air superiority. All effective ADA sites are gone, so they have no ground to air. They have some ballistic cruiser and some one-way group 2 and 3 drones left. They already lost. We're just doing surgical work right now. That's right. I'm going to do it again. Car plus pussy equals pussy. What is this? When this happened to Corbyn, I worried that he backed down too much. I love him, but he didn't wear it well. Much faith in you, big man. No, I'm younger than Corbyn. You know what I mean? There's that element. Also, I'm not a politician. I'm a media person. I have a lot more liberties. I don't have to worry about factions. Part of the reason why is because my faction is an outsider faction regardless. My loyalty is to the American working class broadly. But outside of that, my loyalty also in the interim and the immediate sense of it to a political organization lies with the Democratic Socialists of America. Okay? I care about building socialism in this country. So for me, it's like these centrist Democrats, these establishment Democrats, these right-wing Democrats, Zionists of different like ideological teams, ideological tendencies. Who gives a shit if they fucking oppose me? I oppose them, you know? It's fine. You will never see a real, true, I was going to say true blue, but true red DSA cadre come out and be like, fuck this Hasan guy, he's bad. Or if they've done so, that means they are completely betraying, in my opinion, betraying the fucking movement. Or maybe I have betrayed the movement at that point. This guy pearl clutching about your take secretly agrees with it.
Dick sucks, okay? But one of the things that actually is true is that is technically true, though. It is one of the annoying things about Israel is that you are the only Jewish state on the planet. You conduct yourself in a fucking unhinged manner. It's not really that surprising when people start to get overall like a bad impression of Jewish people. Now, it's not good. Shouldn't happen. But also, like, Netanyahu, bruh. What the fuck? Fucking pro-Pally dick sucks, okay?
Huh. Oh my God. Another position from the debate pedophile over here. Another position that he technically agrees with, but he can't get himself to openly mention that he agrees with because he's not a fucking real actor. He has no moral compass. He doesn't care about the issues. He's just operating on pure 100% resentment. Oh my God. Ben Lorber says, at its philosophical core, the early Zionist movement claimed to reorient the Jewish people as a political actors charged with historical responsibility. Ironically, today, many Jews claim their Zionism as a kind of tender personal retreat from historical and political responsibility. They define it as a personal connection to Israel or throw around a term like self-determination. These words don't mean anything, and the people using them don't intend them to. It's a way to avoid squarely facing the moment that we live in. Many of the smarter early theorists of cultural Zionism would be ashamed by these kinds of vacuous arguments. They criticize precisely this kind of blinkered myopia in co-religionists who refuse to actually address political reality with grounded honesty. There was also this, Tim Miller of the Bulwark begging Neera Tanden to tweet less about me.
Why we love each other. One reason why we love each other is because we're both posters at heart. Your Twitter energy, though, lately has been a little bit off of Susan Collins for my taste. I counted this morning 15 tweets about Hasan Piker since Sunday. A lot of attacking the left right now from you on the Twitter account when we have a big challenge ahead of us in November. And so,
yes, I think this is a really important thing to
that.
discuss. I actually appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because I want to make a distinction. And I've said this publicly. I said this to the New York Times like a month or two ago, which is we're like left candidates, even DSA.
Is she drunk again? At this point, we've only seen Neera Tanden sober one time when she was doing a Center for American Progress front-facing camera video. God damn, it's crazy, man. How the fuck does this person operate?
Line candidates win in swing states. Where DSA candidates win in blue cities.
Oh.
Like, that's a healthy thing for a party. It's okay for a Democratic broad tent to have very liberal candidates in very liberal parts of the country. And when people complain about this, I say to them, there are like some really cuckoo members in like MAGA parts of the country. And, you know, like it's a big tent and we should be growing that. My concern, and it's a genuine concern, is that Hasan Piker is noxious to the brand of the Democratic Party in swing states and swing districts. And I'm always for a big tent, but big tents have tent poles. And tent pole for me is we should be against racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism.
I'm talking about strategy. I'm talking about strategy. Like Abdul won. 15 tweets about Piker this week feels like a lot. Like Abdul won, and he's got.
Even this is kind of cowardly. I don't know why people don't just say the truth about it. I guess they like each other. That's probably the reason why. I just fucking, dude, this would not be appropriate. Tim Miller, if I spent every fucking waking moment talking about David Crowley being a piece of shit or something and constantly taking pot shots at David Crowley, how many fucking YouTube videos would you make, Tim Miller, about the left is trying to destroy the Democratic Party uniting under the same banner? No, seriously. Seriously. I want, Tim Miller, I hope you see this video. I want you to ask yourself, perhaps you haven't really considered this, how would you have a conversation with me if I was like retweeting, I don't know, Nick Fuentes or something, shitting on David Crowley and being racist to David Crowley? Would you have me on your show to have a cordial conversation? Or would you lose your fucking mind for good reason? Because that's what Neera Tanden did to me. She retweeted Laura Loomer claiming that I was engaging in ninja taqiyya, the idea that you can never trust a Muslim because Muslims, they lie as a part of their religion. Can you imagine if I did even a fraction of what Neera Tanden has done in this entire election cycle, in the last couple of months? That's what's so fucked up about this process. I get that you guys are all in DC or have, spent a good deal of time there. You guys are operatives and you have a cordial relationship with one another. Me and Tim have a cordial relationship with one another. We've appeared on stage together. How would you treat me if I was doing what Neera Tanden was doing to David Crowley? My candidate lost, so fuck David Crowley. If I ran around doing that, if I ran around constantly taking pot shots at David Crowley, if DSA and numerous other political organizations were like, we are refusing to work with David Crowley, we don't want David Crowley to win, and then there was a media cycle around it, and I was running around saying I hate David Crowley, this conversation would not be cordial, and I wouldn't expect it to be cordial. You're being far too nice to Neera Tanden here. You're being much nicer to Neera Tanden than what she deserves at this moment. And if we don't actually implement a sense of shame against these shameless mercenaries, they're never going to behave appropriately when the moment requires them to, at the very least, get out of the way. Because I'm not begging for Neera Tanden to talk about how awesome Abdul is every day. I'm just begging her to shut the fuck up about Abdul al-Sayed. That's it. That's it. That's it. If you don't like the man, don't talk about him. The Senate majority hinges on this. It does not fucking make sense. I think you can shame shameless people. Okay? There is power in social inoculation. There's power in a sense of community. If more people came out like Pecan was and actively started saying, Neera Tanden, what the fuck are you doing? You are responsible for the most consequential center-left think tank in the Hill, and you're running around actively yelling about your left flank every day. You look like a silly asshole. You are dividing the base. You are fomenting voter apathy. You are spitting on the faces of hundreds of thousands of Democratic Party voters that door knock for candidates over and over again, telling them to suck it. The fuck's wrong with you? This is not the behavior of a professional political operative. This is the behavior of a drunk sociopath. It is completely ridiculous. And part of the reason why Neera Tanden gets away with doing this is because no one actually gives her a stern talking to. Okay? That's it. If her peers were to be honest with her and to say, look, you're like a 60-year-old political operative. You worked on every fucking political campaign. Is this a normal way to conduct yourself? Conduct yourself professionally. Act like you understand the importance of defeating Trumpism in this country for one fucking second in your life, regardless of your ideological resentment towards your left flank. What the fuck? You're behaving like a fucking child. Like a drunk bully. Both drunk with power and drunk on alcohol as well.
I've got things that I could nitpick Abdul about, but like he's not campaigning with Hasan anymore. Like that was in the past. And again, so like
Look at the excitement in her eyes. She's like, Abdul's not campaigning with her. It's like, why is this your number one priority?
It's like not that helpful. It doesn't feel like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I feel like I have tried to be clear that it's good. It's a good thing that he's moved off of Piker. And I've said multiple times I would support Abdul El-Sayed. I think this is a good step. A lot of
Yeah, then shut the fuck up now, please. Please, shut the fuck up, please. Okay? Focus on races you care about. Okay? It is obsessive. Her and Shannon Watts and Fred Gutenberg. There's a couple of these like NGO guys and think tank consultants from the Beltway that are just insane, dude. And their own fans recognize it too. Even I'm seeing it in their replies, which they, hide usually. But it's crazy. They're literally like, dude, what are you talking about? You haven't stopped tweeting about this fucking guy.
people looked at his statement and
Trey Easton is another one. Even the other guy that was the John Fetterman guy from Searchlight Institute has been a little bit more agreeable in this process, where at least he entertains the notion of Abdul El-Sayed winning. Whereas Trey Easton is still trying to take pot shots because these guys literally have decided they're my op, I'm their op. Their number one priority is to just endlessly chirp about me. Hasan Piker's just a streamer in California is giving Nick Fuentes just an internet troll. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. We know what you're doing, Nira. You are not slick. You can't directly shit on Abdul, so you fucking use me as a way to consistently take pot shots. She's not well. She has petty lib tyrant brain. I'm not obsessed with Piker. Everyone else is. Search Nira Tandon Piker. Insanity. This is not normal.
said, oh, it's not enough. Abdul El-Sayed's statement, it's not enough. I think this is a good step. You know, you can't, like, it's good when people do stuff you want them to do. That's great. But I'll tweet less if you'd like.
No, I like your tweeting. I'm just trying to get like an 80-20 ratio.
I don't think anyone would talk to me in the same way if I behaved like Nira Tandon did, which is ironic because they claim I behave like Nira Tandon against Kamala Harris. All this shit also creates a permission structure for Nick Fuentes to further enter the mainstream. The comparisons legitimize them. I know, I've already given up on that. Did you ever think you'd see serious people Ethan climaxing? No, I did not. I thought that these guys would have like more shit going on in their lives. He will without Piker. At least one of us will be happy about that. What is this? Because he caved to the mob you spent months whipping up. Why did El-Sayed distance himself from Piker? Was he duped? He will without Piker. At least one of us will be happy. Here's the difference between me and Nira Tandon, okay? If Abdul El-Sayed won, whether he distanced from me or not, okay, or sufficiently distanced, let's say, to Nira Tandon's liking, I wouldn't give a shit. I would still be happy because I want him to fucking win. Nira, on the other hand, cannot see the world as anything but an opportunity for social progress for herself, for career advancement, social advancement. That's the only way she operates, and this is pure projection. You're warning about painting Jews as a monolith gets more relevant? Yeah. IDF soldiers are outside of Columbia University gates despite a lawsuit filed by Palestinian students stating that Columbia created a racist, hostile environment. The soldiers are part of the Frontline Advocates, a new Israel MFA program. We are IDF. We have been to Gaza. Ask us anything. And then a peace sign. Nazis, dude. The double standard once again. What is important to understand is that if these IDF soldiers are harassed or attacked in any way, the headline will be Jewish students attacked in anti-Semitic incident. This isn't hyperbole. This is the exact scenario that has played out a dozen times on U.S. college campuses. In November 2024, when two IDF soldiers were attacked on the DePaul campus while standing next to a sign that read, "Come talk about Israel with an IDF soldier," the media covered it entirely as an anti-Semitic hate crime and did not mention or downplay that they were IDF soldiers. When they were attacked because they were Jewish students or because they were open members and supporters of a military that at that point, all major human rights organizations have determined was committing genocide. I wonder which one of those reasons were those people attacked. Categorically, across media, counter-protesting harassment attacks on pro-Israel students are framed in the most sectarian terms possible, while violent attacks on pro-Palestine students, UCLA May 2024, Columbia January 2024, by Zionist vigilantes is framed in purely ideological terms. Attacks on pro-Palestine students is never, and I mean never, framed as attacks on Muslims or Arab students. It is always stripped of sectarianism or racial hatred. Meanwhile, opposition to the most openly ideological Zionist political activity is framed in sectarian terms as a rule. This one-sided sectarian framing is reflected in the data of campus protest coverage. In the first 6 months, there were 1,385 standalone mentions of anti-Semitism in New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, AP, Politico, Axios. During the same time frame, there were only 22 mentions of Islamophobia. This is despite the fact that according to the university's own findings, there was roughly an equal amount of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses. This is according to their own studies commissioned on behalf of pro-Israel donors and lawmakers. It's not just support for Israel and Zionism that's increasingly viewed by courts and our media as a protected class comparable to religion or race. It's open support and membership in the IDF. This is obviously batshit, illiberal, and makes a mockery of minority protections. Can you imagine? The Klan, being a part of the Klan is a protected political expression, protected political identity. Being a Nazi, being a part of the American Nazi Party is a part of a protected political identity. There is a level of political protection you get broadly, regardless of how odious your worldview is in the United States of America under the First Amendment. Okay, but that doesn't reach that doesn't reach the same standard of protection that we're offering to literal war criminals. Okay. To people who have conducted war crimes, to people who are openly saying they have conducted war crimes. When someone says, I'm an IDF soldier and I was in Gaza, you are openly admitting, according to virtually every human rights organization, you are admitting to being a part of a military that is a belligerent occupier and has violated numerous human rights laws and has conducted a genocide. You're no longer going to get the same level of protection that anyone else would. Here's Hunter Biden.
I turn on these shows and it's like a circular firing squad because they end up talking about Hasan Piker for 45 minutes. You know what Hasan Piker did? Hasan Piker is a live stream guy that has been doing it for I don't know how many years. And he has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of him just feeling shit talking into a microphone. By the way, but at the same time, you know what Hasan Piker's done? He has created a little bit of a movement of a group of people that are absolutely opposed to the fascism of Donald Trump. And you know what? I want to tap into that. I don't want to opt out of it. I want to figure out with Hasan Piker whether or not we can find common ground and fight against the same enemy. Instead, what these guys are doing is he's a virulent anti-Semite and everybody's this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like, and he said this about 9/11 and he said that. It's like, my God.
I'm gonna have Hunter Biden on stream. I will. Laptop Fap Top Alliance. Okay, you see this? Ted Cruz's tiny dick. Legend. I did this to him as well, by the way. People shouldn't forget.